Hey everybody, welcome to Energy Transformation Week. Hi, my name is Tara Taglianti, and I would just like to welcome my friend and amazing healer and hypno healer, April Norris, to the very first hangout and very first video of the very first Energy Transformation Week. Woohoo! Hi,
Yeah.
April.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I am excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I mean, Energy Transformation Week, what is this? Like what did I just put together and what the heck did we just create here? Well, let's see. What I wanted to create was, 5 years ago, April. Like you and I was just the graphic designer friend. You know what I mean? I was not the energy worker friend. Now I'm calling myself an energy transformation artist, right? And
Mhm.
I actualized some really amazing talents and abilities. And the way that I see it is 5 years ago, a really intense incident occurred that if I knew then what I know now, it wouldn't have been as an intense of an incident. I had what you would call in this reality a nervous breakdown that was pretty intense that I ended up in the hospital, right? And, when everybody around me was treating me like I was crazy and wanting to medicate me. I mean, they wanted to, my parents wanted to like take over power of attorney over me, just because they didn't get what was going on. The thing that what I received a phone call, right, from you, and it was like, girl, I get it. I know what's going on here. Like you're having like this an experience of like an awakening, and we had a few sessions, and from then it's like, look, here we are 5 years later, and my entire life is transformed in a way that I'm now, I have these tools, and I've done several different, I've tried all kinds of different modalities, and the one that I'm playing with currently is access consciousness, and it's, and I have completely I've completely gotten in touch with with like more of me, and the way that I see it is that, wow, if I had the information that I had 5 years ago, that incident would have been done and over within like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And it would have been like on to the next thing, right? So I just, I put this whole thing together. I haven't told this story, as much in depth out to the world, and I've just been dying to tell it. And I just want to thank you, and I'd like to, you do something that's a little different. It's more, it's hypnosis, but it's Reiki, and you dabble in all kinds of different energies. But all throughout our friendship, I've known you to be the more eccentric one and the weird one until I did my thing, right? And now it's just like so like I want to hear like what's your story, like how did you know that you were going to be working with energy and working with people to change limitations and to do what you do, and if you would go ahead whatever would like to be spoken here. I kind of want to know, like, what was it like for you, like, before and then, like the path,
Got it. Absolutely. Well, I just wanted to acknowledge what you said by letting you know that it was an honor to have that conversation with you. When you were in that intense moment, I was fortunate enough to understand that when intensities and traumas are occurring, that's a moment, like the saying goes, it's like where we're cracked and broken, that's where the light gets in. And you've always been so willing, so willing to expand your perspective. And so it really is an honor that I got to have a conversation with you at that point, and that you heard me. But I from what that experience, I think introduced into your life, there's no question it was all meant to be. And I'm really proud of you and how far you've come, and just the energy that you bring is shining forth. So much fun and light in the energy work and the healing that you do. And that's really my passion, is to support artists and visionaries of all kinds, artists and healers, social entrepreneurs. And it's a great gift when I get to have a conversation or do a healing session with someone who is going to make a difference in the world. And so I want to thank you for being that person.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. And as far as my journey goes, this could be a long story or a short story. And thinking about where to start, boy, I'll tell you this. This is I think where it started for me in terms of the eccentric conversation, or the strange conversation, which is one of my favorite words.
Yeah.
When I was little, I was about maybe 3 or 4 years old. And I was an introvert. I was a quiet kid, but I used to like to spy on the adults and like observe their conversations, when they were in the kitchen and it was, maybe after hours. I would come in and, just kind of spy on them and take in the energy and hear what they were saying. And one of these times I was observing the adults, I overheard my aunt, who had seen me doing this, say, "That's a strange child," and I remember this aunt. She was probably in her 70s or something at the time. And I remember my parents just like looking at her, and I remember this entire scene very vividly in my mind. And I knew at that point that being strange, there was something wrong with being strange, and there might be something wrong with me. If it was strange. So that kicks off the the belief that I was strange. And throughout my childhood, I had a difficult childhood in that there was definitely some physical and emotional abuse, and I shut down in certain ways. I shut down emotionally, and so I can't say that I have a lot of recollection of any kind of psychic occurrences or any any of the things that I've heard psychics and intuitives talk about. I had almost a bit of a limited experience is how I would put it. And so for me, I didn't have a big emotional range. I hardly cried when I was little. And I think that I waffled between, as people will do, I waffled between being, strange, wearing my giant high tops tomboy. I had this weird outfit thing that I would do. I had a mullet. I was the athlete who I definitely was eccentric back then, but then I would flip into ultra normal. So I was kind of going between, being very normal looking and plain Jane, and then super eccentric and off the wall. And I see clients do that too. It's like we swing from side to side, and there's no freedom in that swing necessarily, because we're attempting to be something, let's say, other than our true authentic self.
Yeah.
So, on that point, I would say, that was my experience early on. And then when I was at the very end of high school, almost into college, I went to a stage show, a hypnosis stage show at a theme park. I was at a theme park with my sister, and I was blown away by what happened. I just, I just noticed that I was in a different state of mind. I was accidentally hypnotized in the audience. And that was really the start of it for me. From there, I was interested in consciousness. Studied psychology in college. Was accepted into some doctoral programs, and around that time, I took my first hypnosis class, and my track and my trajectory really shifted into, you could say, into the fringe, the fringe element of the psychological community. And I was really happy with that, because I was just much more interested in the stories and the transformative stories I was hearing from my teachers, my hypnosis teachers, than what I had observed in psychology and within conventional psychology. So, that was how I got started. And then from there, it was, just a process of learning modality after modality, being blown away by the magic I would experience. And yeah, truly, I think the big opening happened in a Reiki course with a teacher, and it was almost like the floodgates were opened, and the dam was busted through, and I was emotionally, like I was freed up, and I had this incredible emotional release, and started to put some puzzle pieces together about incidents in my life, and even, more curious than that. But that was really where I started to understand the power of healing and deep healing. So in a nutshell, that, and then there's a lot more to say about all of that, but I think that's enough for this moment.
Oh yeah, totally. So the thing that we keep like kind of going back to, and what I've titled this talk is like, what if eccentric and different is like a superpower? Because there's things that it's like, okay, yeah, you were the different one, you were the eccentric one. I am too. I mean, we still are, right? And at some point though, as a kid, you there's that point you spoke of where it's like you see it and you start to be like, oh, I really can't be this here. Like, it's wrong on some sort. And then it's almost like I noticed that there's been a period of like undoing and getting out of all the wrongness. Is like in Access, it's like we'll say like, what if your wrongness is actually a strongness, and it's like here we are, using energies and being the energies that we once thought were so like wrong to be, and it's changing people's lives and including ours, and I just want to acknowledge like where you are. The first thing that you were saying is like, I want to contribute to other people who want to contribute to the world, and it's just like I noticed that like there's people out there that have these hearts and they really desire to contribute to the world, and with a feeling of that they're wrong because they're different. It's kind of like I've noticed that people stop themselves from speaking their truth and speaking what they know, right? What would you say to that about like being okay with being different?
Well, immediately what comes to mind is Maya Angelou's quote that courage is the most important of all virtues, because without courage you can't consistently practice all the rest. And I think that this conversation around self-expression and understanding your truth has a lot to do with courage, because the conventional powers that be are very they're strong, and it's almost like conventional forces want to keep us on rails, keep us acting a certain way, consuming a certain way, overlooking certain things. So to move against that, and to move against that current, those power, it takes a level of strength and courage, because there's a deep fear of not being accepted by a tribe. So we've got that in our I think in our DNA at some point. But with the power of consciousness, you can begin to craft your actions, and and adjust your thoughts to be more in alignment with who you truly are. And I think that being who you are, it increases our strength. I think when you're in any way living a lie or not speaking up, it's detrimental to your health. And I think we can prove that even with little muscle testing exercises and things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but that was the very first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, hey, that's awesome. I'm not even sure where this conversation is going to lead us. All I know is I'm really digging it. Are you open? Can I highlight a story that I know about you that is kind of like really eccentric? Is that okay?
Sure. Feel free.
Let's go for it. Okay, hello world. No, there's this story that I've heard, right? Okay, so when I first met you, and I wasn't, I had dabbled in Reiki, and I got mad at Reiki because I thought it was too slow for me, and then I got mad at it, and I was like, I need some time away from this, and it's like this is it was just too slow for me, right? And then like for when I met you, I was like, just hardcore in my field of graphic design and doing my thing. But when I met you, I heard this story about you, and I knew you were a hypnotherapist, and I was always afraid that you were going to like NLP me or hypnotize me without me knowing it, and like I had some background like, ooh, I need to watch out for that girl, like when I first met you, right? And then you were like the one that like kind of came in and like opened up a really amazing door, right? How does it get any better? But there's this story that I knew about you that I heard you were like on a trip and you had a flat tire and somehow talking, I'm not sure if talking to the molecules of the tire or something, somehow the tire inflated. Like, what, do you remember that? Is that
I
accurate?
do. I do. Boy, this is
Is this a little too out there right now for
no,
this video?
no. I love it. I'll tell you this. I'll give you an insight. Not to say that this explains anything, but I have
Yeah.
a tendency not to believe the things I don't want to believe. And
Yeah.
so how I look at it is I suspend disbelief about problems temporarily
Yeah.
until there's really a moment where I have to accept what's happening and then change course. So it
Yeah.
really, I mean, it honestly was a matter of in that moment I was like, maybe this isn't what's happening. Maybe it's really not flat. Maybe maybe this there's some room for things to shift. And I've had some experiences like that with a wallet lost in Las Vegas. With a lot of cash in it, just sitting on a slot machine, for an hour before we discovered it was gone, and going back and saying it's going to be there. It's a little bit of magical thinking, um,
Yeah.
but until that thing is set in stone, I guess I just have the perspective that you may as well just allow the universe to work with you a little bit, and
Yeah.
not dive too deeply into the mechanics of it, and just allow things to be magical. So that's the best explanation I can give you for that. And
Yeah.
I think the only thing it requires is that other people do it with you if they're with you. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
they just kind of hop on board and be like, okay, maybe it will fix. I love that when things fix themselves. I love it when things fix themselves. It happened a lot in my house.
Yeah, well, I had some friends that actually, from giving like energetic contributions to their car, actually started their car that like their battery died, and they
Right.
were like, they just kept 1, 2, 3 at their car, and the car
Yeah.
started.
I
And
think
it's like,
a playful attitude and not trying too hard is vital to that. And you have to accept when it's like, okay, it's time to call the, AAA. You just accept
yeah,
it's in front of you, but why not give it a shot?
I know, yeah, it's like, why not? So yeah, and then so it's like, and okay, so and then so what exactly? Say like if someone was to come to you, like what can you do for somebody? Say like what do your clients usually come to you with? Like what are your primary like yeah, like what are your primary clients coming to you for? And then can you give me some like what do you do
Yeah, you
basically?
got it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this definition has shifted over the years, as I've evolved a little bit. But I consider myself to be a subconscious communication expert. So I love talking to people's subconscious minds. And, it's just a playground, working with the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the seat of emotion, dreams, imagination, beliefs, and so I have developed some tools that primarily are fun because I think a lot of what's out there isn't so much fun, and the tools that I use help people train their minds, and inside that training of the mind, some of the major focuses I have are mood mastery and healing. So when someone's really stuck or really hurting and in a lot of pain, we tend to do healing work. And when someone is having an unruly emotional experience, that usually has a lot to do with the thoughts we're thinking and honing our focus. So those are the major arenas of what I work with, and I just love working with visionaries. And I'll find that they'll have, one session will be a mood mastery session. The next session will be, tackling a trigger and a blockage that they've experienced, and then we go for that. And then there's just a wide range of things you can do to create the life you want to be creating and living.
So
So
cool.
yeah, that's again in a nutshell what I do. I've worked a bit with disease and cancer. That's a passion of mine. It's intensive work, and what I found is it has a whole lot to do with understanding your emotions and releasing old trapped emotions. So that's another major focus in the world.
Yeah, so would you say that like most people's limitations, so the way I like to I kind of tend to explain to people is like the way I see it is like any ailment or any limitation usually has like an energetic root to it. And and that, and hence the term energy transformation. It's like, well, whatever you're doing, we're changing the energy. We're changing the energy of an emotion, changing the energy of a thought. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's all energy based. What are your thoughts
Great
on the
question.
roots of everything, like the root causes of things?
Well, I would say this. I was gonna draw something. My notepad is holding up the computer right now. Let me just switch this out. I love this conversation right here, and it gives me a chance
Yeah.
to use my stick figure drawing skills. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Here we go. Ready? Okay. So here's a stick figure human, and here's one layer of energy. It's all energy. You'll
Yeah.
find.
Yeah.
Let's see if the pen is gonna work. There we go. There's another layer of energy, and you could extend this beyond, to infinity. But basically, oh, there we go. There's a little bit more.
Yeah.
So these layers. So you've
Yeah.
got the physical layer of energy. You've got the emotional, the mental, beyond. So it's all energy,
Yeah.
and when looking at quantum mechanics, we're never really touching, there's basically, when you look at, the nature of atoms and particles, it's all electricity and magnetism. So it's, basically magnetism and the force that we're actually registering as touch rather than anything really physically ever touching anything else.
Yeah.
So what I see when I look at this energy field is that the physical energy is the slowest moving energy. The emotional energy is a bit faster than that, and then thoughts are quicker energy than that. And then you've got everything else we're connected to. Let's say the grid,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything. So we're plugged into all of it. We're connected to everything through this, this electromagnetic, unit that we have here. So what I've noticed is that a change on one level will
Yeah.
really cause a transformation on all other levels. And it makes no difference whether you tackle something from a thought form or you look at something, let's say like a pain you're having in your knee, and and then dissect the meanings and the connections behind that, because a change on one level equals a change on all others. I tend to work with the emotional body and identify the emotions that people are experiencing, and then that, working with that level helps transform the thoughts and as well as the physical. So that's that's just my preference, but it's equally viable to go for the underlying energies and then watch the other layers shift.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I've seen some of the coolest transformations and the coolest changes happen, and people's lives just, you know, people's lives change, and it's just beautiful to see when somebody like go from a state of like where they're just like, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, and or nothing, thinking that there's like kind of just thinking like this, to like blown open possibilities, like where all of a sudden they have this brightness about them, and it's like life is like fun again and joyful again, and it's just I know you've got to love that as well, like I
Oh,
know that
yeah, transformation is really thrilling, and however it comes about, it's always it's always a pleasure to observe it. I know exactly what you mean when you see someone who's like brightened up or lightened up, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then let me ask you one more question, because I think I am not keeping track of our time. Whatever. I'm totally. I wanted to keep these interviews very short because it is like kind of some mind-blowing content. But it's like, what would you say to the kid, right? The kid that was the you before you knew what you were going to be doing, right? That eccentric kid that's out there feeling like, where am I? Like, how did I get here? And what the heck is going on? Like, what would you say to them? Like, yeah, what would you say to them?
What would I say to my inner child? Is that
Yeah, yeah,
yeah? Well, that's a good question. I talk to my inner child pretty often, and look to to do some inner child rescues now and then. We all receive mixed messages, and like we're talking about the conventional wisdom that's really not so wise, and we're all subjected to that. So I would continue to encourage, myself as a kid to just kind of chill out and enjoy the ride, and know that the truth, the truth makes you feel stronger and lighter, and and I know that's something you abide by as well.
Yeah.
But then when something makes you feel heavy or confused, just wait it out. You don't have to soak in all of those messages. It's not necessary to believe everything you hear. And I think that's something that when I'm doing work with clients, it's a lot of it's about clearing up misunderstandings that we had as kids, because children are very very much immersed in their subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is literal, takes all the messages in as truth, and it's important to go back and just realign and clear up some of the misunderstandings. So I would say that, and I would just say, being yourself is such a gift. It's such a
Yeah.
you and everyone around you, and being yourself gives not only you permission to do great things, but it gives other people around you permission to do the same, to be themselves. And when people are being themselves or having more fun, their mood is improved, their health is improved, and they're most likely in touch with their purpose, at that point, if you're being yourself. And that just makes the world an incredibly fun place to live, as opposed to, the flip side, which we already see out there.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you. On that note, that was beautiful, and and how does it get any better? I'm just gonna leave us on that note. And April, where can people get in touch with you? Like, how can they, do you have a blog, and could you
Yeah.
have an email list? Can we do, because this will be out on the internet, I'm sure, into the future. So, where can people get in touch with you and find you?
Absolutely. Well, they can find me at april-norris.com, and that's spelled APRIL, then dash NORRIS.com, and they can see the blog from there, sign up for the newsletter. There's some really fun goodies that we've just put together for anyone who signs up now, including some mind training music and some other fun tools, a meditative brainwave entrainment audio, some really cool stuff. And I just I like to pamper anyone who's on my list, and share fun ideas, and I'd love to hear from people as well. So feel free to reach out.
Cool. Well, like I said, this is, this energy transformation week is part of like my true like life story, and I think this interview was beautiful, and I just want to say thank you so much, and I have total gratitude for who you are, in my world and, in the world. So, here's to, I wonder what more magic can we create on this planet, and well into the future. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for being who you are, and yeah, I feel just all joyful and giddy after talking to you. So thank you for who you are in the world, and this was a lot of fun.
Thank you. All right, everybody, we'll tune in tomorrow. I'll be interviewing conscious comedian Katie Rubin, and she's also a healer. So tune in tomorrow for Energy Transformation Week, 2 p.m. EST. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, April, and take care, guys. Bye.